This is the week of Nintendo, so let's crack on, guys, with the next batch of games. Now, this game is my all-time favourite, and it is obviously Super Castlevania 4. It is the greatest side-scrolling platform game of all time, as far as I'm concerned. Artwork alone on this is absolutely fantastic, but the game, the music, the graphics, there's nothing that can be said about this game that is bad. It is a game I could play over and over and over again, and it's nice to have it on the American Super Nintendo. But just to sneak this one in, I still have the PAL version that I bought when I first bought my Super Nintendo back in the day. An absolutely pristine condition, and I'm very, very proud to still own it. But enough of the PAL one. Let's get back onto this one, which is the NTSC version. Absolute awesome game by Konami, and a must for anybody. And that is Super Castlevania 4. Now the next one is the daddy of the fighters, and it is Street Fighter 2. Awesome cover straight away. Fantastic conversion from the arcades to the Super Nintendo. They've done an absolutely stonking job on that, but an absolute all-time classic game. The best fighter around, full stop in it. Great for two players, great for one player. Never-ending action with this game. Absolute superb title to have. But that's not the best version of it, which I'm coming up to next. But still a classic, and that is Street Fighter 2. The best version by far is Super Street Fighter Turbo. Without question, introducing the 4 boss characters into the game, and you had speed differences, which makes the games faster. Such an awesome title. It's all rounded, perfect in every way. There's nothing you want more out of this game. It's such an iconic and fantastic game. Music, characters, just everything about it is the best, and easily the best title out of the bunch to own if you want any Street Fighter game. So that is Super Street Fighter Turbo. Now the next one should have been good, but wasn't that great, and that is Super Street Fighter 2. Now this one graphically is very, very good. Introduction of even more characters, but what lets this down is the music. It's very, very tinny, and it's not the best of music, and it really does spoil it, to be honest with you. But as I say, graphically very, very good, and added the extra other characters into it. Another 4 characters is an excellent choice, but still, it's a shame the music let it down, but still a great fighter nevertheless. That's Super Street Fighter 2. And then to finish off, we have Street Fighter Alpha 2, a great conversion of this game to the Super Nintendo. How they managed to get this on a cart is beyond me. Graphically brilliant, plays quite well. The only issue is it does have a 2-second delay before each fight, but that does not make a difference. You've got to understand how they've squeezed this onto a cart, and I'm well happy with it. But there you go, that is Super Street Fighter Alpha 2. The next one is one of the few FX games, Super FX chip games coming out, and that's Stunt Racer FX. Not a bad little game, nice little quirky racing title. Graphically, obviously, you're following the FX chip, so you know it plays quite well actually. A lot of hidden cars, few hidden tracks, and it does get quite tasty in like the hardness if you know you don't persevere with it, you don't practice on it. But still, a very nice little game. I'm very happy to have into the collection. So that is Stunt Racer FX. The next one is a classic. It's Super Metroid. An absolutely awesome game. Not everybody's favourite because there's a lot of backtracking and exploring in this game. You need the time to sit down and play this game, but worthy of sitting down and wasting some of your time because it's such a classic and iconic game. There's a lot of good Metroids, but this is the only one I've ever really played and really truly enjoyed, and very, very happy to have this in the condition it's in. So that is Super Metroid. The next one is definitely my favourite boxing game, and that is Super Punch-Out. Absolutely classic conversion of Super Punch-Out. I like the NES version, but this is my favourite by far. Colourful, bright, big, massive graphics and characters. Really, really great game. This is absolutely classic fighting punching game, or should I say fighting game, with some fantastic characters. As I say, I can't go wrong. I put this game on over and over again and enjoy it no matter how many times I play it, because I'll never learn the routines of each fighter, even to this day. But still, fantastic title anyway. That's Super Punch-Out. Going on to a side-scrolling beat-em-up, and it's Super Double Dragon. Really great conversion for the Super Nintendo, to be honest. Great graphics, great music, and they added extra moves into this one where if you're surrounded, it makes it more accessible for you to take out the guys behind you as well as in front of you, which makes a massive difference. But nice little challenging game. As I say, great to be on the Super Nintendo, and I do kind of prefer it over the original slightly, but you know, that's to everybody's taste in it. But I do like this, and that is Super Double Dragon. The next one is the classic Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Now, everybody loves this game. It's a classic side-scrolling platform game with some iconic music, but it is relentlessly difficult. You know, everybody knows you've got to go through it twice, but you still want to play it nevertheless because it's such a great game to go through, and the music is absolutely superb in this game. But, you know, I still enjoy it. I still love to play it, even though I'm not really ever going to truly do it, but it's still a fantastic game to have in the collection, and that is Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Next one is another classic platformer, Super Adventure Island. Not the hardest game in the world, but still a nice little addition to the collection. Very Wonder Boy-esque, if you played Wonder Boy, which most of us have. But as I say, there is a sequel to this, and I shall be getting that next year, but it is on the pricey side, so I'm going to have to keep my eyes open for that one. But still a nice little quirky title to have in the collection, and that's Super Adventure Island. Now the next one is another one I luckily kept in my collection, which is Sunset Riders. A fantastic title. This is absolutely brilliant side-scrolling shoot 'em up. Brilliant characters, brilliantly graphics, lovely backdrops. It's just an awesome all-time classic arcade game. This is from Konami, and a very sought after title, but absolutely pleased as punch to be still having this in the collection. And as I said, one of the ones that I kept in my collection, thankfully, and never got rid of. So that's Sunset Riders. Now the next one is another classic game for me, and that is Super Star Wars. Super Star Wars follows the film to a T as far as I'm concerned. Played it to death when I very first had this, got it back, and then realised how difficult these games can be. That's just showing me age there, to be honest with you. But fantastic graphics, brilliant side-scrolling action platforming game. Can't go wrong with that. It is an absolute awesome game. So that's Super Star Wars. Now we'll be skipping to this one, as I don't have Super Empire Strikes Back no more because I sold Anti-Retro Dave because I'm looking for another copy. But this is Super Return of the Jedi. More of the same side-scrolling action adventure from the trilogy. Same brilliant graphics, same brilliant music, but very, very difficult. So beware when you play these guys. Nearly went. So there you go, guys. That is the classic Super Return of the Jedi. Now here comes a classic everybody loves, and that is Super Mario World. What can I say about this game? Nothing, because it's just classic, full stop. That's just the way it is. An absolutely awesome title. Everybody's favourite. Everybody loves Mario, especially this game. It's got to be one of the top Mario games, apart from Super Mario 3. Them two just stand out alone as being the best. But absolutely iconic classic Mario game. One to have in your collection. If you have a Super Nintendo, you've got to own it. It's as simple as that. And there you go. That is Super Mario World. This one, quite a little rare title. Never released in Europe, unfortunately. But this is Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Not a bad RPG, not a great RPG fan, but had to have it because it's the Mario. Not that bad either to get into. If you're a beginner RPG fan like me, then it will be quite easy for you to get into and quite enjoyable, but you need the time to sit down and play these games, unfortunately. So still a worthy game to have, and that is Super Mario RPG. And the next one is the classic Mario Kart. Truly the best version of Mario Kart as far as I'm concerned. You've had all other recreations and reincarnations of the game, but this still stands the test of time. All the original, all the best tracks, all the best music. It's just the best. Simple as that. It's an absolutely iconic racing game, and better because it runs slightly faster on the NTSC version as well, so it does make anybody's times slightly better. But there you go, that is Super Mario Kart. And another Mario Kart or Mario game is Super Mario All Stars, another classic game to have. Has obviously Super Mario, Super Mario 2, Super Mario Lost Levels, Super Mario 3 on. The added advantage to this is you can actually save your progress through the levels instead of trying to do the entire game on its own, which helps immensely. But still another classic Mario game. If you love Mario, you've got to have all the Mario games, and this is no exception. So that's Super Mario All Stars. Now here comes a new edition, which I swapped in for Super Empire Strikes Back, and this is F1 Rock Race of Champions. This is, I can't remember the actual name for the PAL release of it, but it's a very early game, F1 game. It's not the greatest of games, it's cheap as chips. I picked this up for a tenner, so I can't really argue, but still a fantastic little game to have in the collection. And that is F1 Rock Race of Champions. The next one is this little beast, which is Captain Commando, a nice little side-scrolling action beat 'em up. Not the greatest I've ever played, to be honest with you. Graphically okay, and quite easily. I did it in my second attempt, and to be honest, I honestly don't know why it commands the price that it does, to be honest. But still, definitely a rare game and one to have in the collection without a doubt. So that is Captain Commando. And then we have a little platforming action, and that is Bubsy. Not the greatest platforming game in the world. I still want the sequel. If you like platformers, still very quirky little game to stick in your collection. Quick fix game. As I say, it's not the greatest game in the world, but it's one of the cheapest that I picked up, and still very happy to have it. So that is Bubsy. Now, a sports title. Get that in there. I can't get it in. Never mind. And the sports title is Super Tennis. You can't go wrong with this. Another early title for the system. Absolutely classic tennis game. One of my favourites on the system, if not the best. Really colourful, really classic game. Classic music. Just a full-on classic sports title for me. And obviously being one of the early releases, it's just one that brings back fond memories. So that is Super Tennis. Moving on to a shooter. And we have Super R-Type, not the best in the series for the Super Nintendo, but still a worthy contender of being in there. Great little shoot 'em up, very difficult, obviously. Not too sure if this one has any slowdown, but it may do. But as I say, still a tough little cookie to beat, and still a worthy addition to the R-Type franchise, especially for the Super Nintendo. So that is Super R-Type. And moving on to this little number, which is Super Bomberman 2. Now this is a conversion. I've only got one Super Bomberman. There are other conversions of it, a number of titles on the PAL and the NTSC, but more so on the Super Famicom. But one's just enough for me. But it's a quirky little top-down Bomberman title, which I've always wanted to have a Bomberman game in my collection. And you can also add the 4-player adapter to play 4 players, which I haven't got, which I'm not too fussed about, so that'll do for me. So that is the classic Super Bomberman 2. And moving on to the final game of this selection, and it is the mighty Turrican, Super Turrican. Brilliant game. All versions of this game is really good, but I do love this Super Turrican on the Super Nintendo. Very difficult, of course. And it does have a very expensive sequel out there, which one day will be mine, I guarantee you that. But absolutely fantastic conversion. Probably paid a little bit too much for this, but it's still worthy to have in the collection. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. And that is the end of part 2. And I will see you in part 3 of my Super Nintendo collection recap. All the best, guys.